Lack of a proper warm-up routine is a common cause of injury. Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. Today we are going to unpack the ultimate warm-up routine and show you how to build a routine specific to your needs. We're also going to talk about the mistakes people make and why warm-up is so essential. Like Vasquez said in Aliens, let's rock. If you're new to the tribe, we got Rich behind the mix. Across the table from me is Nalesh and Will. And my name is Yani Bormeister. Together we are Unity Gym and ADPT Physio, experts at turning driven people into athletes. This episode is brought to you by the Unified Movement System, the only online program effectively balancing strength, flexibility and fitness so you can unleash your inner athlete. Of course, get daily coaching by us, plus our epic Foundations Prep program and revolutionary structural balance blueprint to create your ideal program and optimize your performance. As a valued listener, you can always use the link in the description to get your first month free. It'll be up after the podcast goes live. We're also excited to announce that for the next 24 hours, you can still grab our epic flash launch sale for our Phase 5 at-home workouts. It's $29. It's going to revert to the $97 price at midnight tonight. So get yourself in there. The tribe has been crushing these workouts for the last 2 weeks. It is a lot of fun. Before we get started, warm welcome. If you're on the live stream in the YouTube channel, remember, if you like what you see, smash that like button. If you really like what you see, give us a subscribe. And we want to send some love back to our UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group. It's free to join that group. Just search for UMS Movement Mastermind. And of course, lastly, massive shout out to everyone listening on the Sound of Movement podcast. How you boys doing?
Going well. How are you?
Really good, thanks, mate.
Really good,
Yeah.
really good.
I just finished a workout, so I'm absolutely knackered. And I'm sitting here and shuffling around. I don't know how to get comfortable. So,
Will, if you haven't met everyone here, Will is our gym manager. It took us years to find someone who was remotely the same colour as our branding, and once we got him, we never let him go. And Nalesh is the co-founder of ADPT Physio and also performance physio for the GWS Giants here in Sydney. Of course, we are in lockdown at the moment, so Nalesh has very, very strategically remained in Sydney instead of going into the Players Hub. What's that like, brother?
Yeah, it's a good chest play from me. So I missed the border closure, which was at 1 a.m.
Yep.
My phone rang, I didn't pick up. So no. But obviously everyone's in the hub, which obviously is tough because you've got 44 players and 50% less staff.
Yep.
But being in Sydney is good because I've got a little one. I can put my head down, bum up, and just do stuff. So that's good.
Just work
and actually,
hard.
have some vinos at home every night. Actually, so Will, which I got to stop. So.
That's right, and it's full on right now in Sydney. We got a lot of businesses shut. We are socially distancing ourselves. We're masking up in the gym here. All the production crew are masked up. We're producing our at-home workouts to our gym tribe, and we've released it to the public, which is awesome. Give some shout outs here. We got a lot of people on the live stream. No one can defeat Andy Lawson. We're discussing how he is able to get the comments up so quickly. We've got Patrick Offner on the stream as well. Patrick is a surgeon and I believe an orthopedic surgeon. Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick. He's saying, I've got no sound. Have you actually started yet?
No,
that was from before.
Yeah,
oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we always have the countdown up there for a few minutes to allow the notifications to go out. So if you've clicked that notification bell when you're a subscriber, then you will get notified. We've also got Vinny Brown on the stream. Hello, Vinny. Saying, hi, guys. We have to catch the podcast replay as it's late here in the US. Got to get a full 8 hours sleep. Yes, prioritize that, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trauma critical care surgeon, Patrick Offner. Cool. Very, very cool.
We've seen some good stories
You'd have some great stories. Okay, so remember, tribe, hit that like button. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing we want to cover today is essentially the importance of a warm-up. And, you know, we commonly see people at either ends of the spectrum. Either they're overdoing a warm-up or worse, underdoing a warm-up. And the key that we want you guys to understand here is that the warm-up is not the workout. So overdoing the warm-up is almost as bad as underdoing a warm-up, because what it's going to do is it's going to negate from or inhibit your ability to perform in your workout. And worse, it's really just a waste of time, you know. And we used to fall victim to this. When we first started the UMS, our warm-up ran for about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. Essentially, it was our 18-minute stretch routine that you guys, or 18-minute mobility routine that you can actually purchase now as a standalone program. And it was really great. It delivered a great result. But we started to hang out with guys who were just better than us at calisthenics and at certain things. And you know, it came quite obvious that we were just warming up for too long, you know, and I'm sure you'd have a pretty solid routine, you boys, for your footy players. What does the warm up in the footy look like?
I think on the back of what you were saying, there's a fine line between warm up and turning the warm up into a workout.
Yep.
Because then guys are starting to train, going, oh wait, we're training now.
Yep.
But I think the routine of the Giants, it's funny. It follows a similar philosophy. There's a mobility focus, there's an activation focus, and there's a function focus.
Yep.
And that primarily takes 15, 20 minutes, and then roll into a session.
Yep.
Remember, it's 44 players. It has to take 15 to 20 minutes.
Yep.
And they're kids.
Yep.
There's talking and so forth. So, but it's bulked up that way as well. Like I said, mobility focus, activation, prep focus, and then function focus.
Yep.
When the kicks come in, run-throughs come in, footy style stuff come in. So it's got the same pillars that we play. So that's how we kind of put it together.
Is the warm-up for a training session the same or different to a game day warm-up?
It changes.
It changes.
Yeah, so game day would be, obviously there's a lot more contact base,
Yep.
a lot more firing that nervous system.
Firing the nerve, bracing, getting ready.
Correct.
To take
Everything's
a
at
hit.
gear 6.
Yep.
We're ready to roll. We got ready to go to war, basically, right?
Yeah.
Our training thing is narrowed down a bit. There's laughs, there's some games, people, going, oh, remember the weekend you missed the ball.
Yeah.
So that's big contrast there. I think the
Bit of
mindset
banter.
contrast is a bit of big change.
Yep.
Massive change come to the weekend, but obviously being a contact sport, massive contact focus come the weekend.
Yeah, right.
There is a contact focus come training, because you play the way you train, right? So or train the way you play it.
I was actually just being treated by Nalesh a couple of hours ago for a rib issue I've got going on, and I said to Nalesh, what's the physicality of the players like in comparison to people like myself? What's the rig like? And the difference is, I might be as big as some of the professional athletes, but the conditioning level is on a different level. The state of conditioning and physical preparedness is on a different level. And although I played rugby league for many, many years, and then I played soccer for many, many years, and I was a competitive boxer for on and off for 16 years. If I ran out on a footy field right now, I'd take 1 or 2 hits and I'd be carried off on a stretcher. You just don't have that level of conditioning. And it's funny, I remember a couple of years back, New Year's Eve, a bunch of my mates went and stayed on a friend's farm, and one of my mates is a professional rugby referee now, but he played rugby for Mossman for many, many years. Years. He was quite good. And we got into a bit of a touch footy game or something, and it's a bunch of boys having a couple of beers. It escalates to touch for 3 seconds, then you can drop the shoulder in, and then you're allowed to lift them, and I put a bit of a hit on my mate, and just because I train a lot in the gym, and I was sort of boxing at the time, so I was sort of a little bit more adverse to taking hits. I just wailed him, and I just kind of thought, because he played rugby for so long, but we had this chat. Once you stop, you get soft real quick,
It's not conditioned.
Yeah.
You're not head conditioned.
Yeah.
You're not ready for
everything.
it,
Yeah, exactly. And this is why we're going to talk about the 2 reasons why you need to maybe manipulate the warm-up a little bit. This sort of tips onto one of those, which is that, as you get less and less conditioned, you need to prepare more and more for a workout, and especially if you're going to play a contact sport,
Exactly right.
you just get more and more soft as you get older, really, I guess, But the first thing we want to just quickly really, really reinforce and highlight are the 3 variables, or the 3 components of a good warm-up, of an ultimate warm-up routine that should always remain the same. Now, when I say remain the same, I choose those words carefully, because they're going to be specific to what you're about to do. And so Nalesh said before, they do some skills drilling that are specific to playing Australian rules football, kicking drills, sprinting drills, change of direction drills. I can imagine. I'm sure Will, when you play rugby, Will actually still plays rugby union. You'd be doing drills specific to your footy for your game. You do some ruck drills, warm up the shoulders, things like that. But in Unity Gym, it's easy for us because we know exactly what the individual or athlete is about to be exposed to, this type of stimulus. So we've created a unified warm-up, one for the upper body leg workout days and one for the lower body upper body workout days, and one for the lower body workout days. And it's kind of easy for us. And the workout's always the same. It always starts with 60 seconds of high intensity cardio, as hard as you can go. And the purpose for that is to increase and upregulate blood flow. What that does is it gets the body warm, it gets the body a bit more limber, it saturates the joints with synovial fluid so that you're lubricated, you're ready to rock. And then also it increases the nervous system's firing rate. So it makes you more ready, more tactile. The muscles are going to fire.
Turns the PowerPoint on.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, very well said. And that is always the start of a warm-up. That should remain the same no matter who you are, no matter how old you are. Then the next thing that we do is mobility drills specific to what you're about to do. This isn't stretching, and a lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people think, okay, now I'm going to limber up for the workout. But if you're about to go for a run, the last thing you want is your legs loose. If you're about to play footy, the last thing you want is your shoulders or your hips or whatever really loose, because you're about to ask of it to be as tight as humanly possible, to take hits, to sprint, to do all this sort of stuff. Mobility and flexibility, this is where the two differ. Mobility is really good. That's going to take your joints through full range of movement under load actively, so your body is controlling the weight, unlike lying and sitting in a stretch for a prolonged period of time, But this is where it needs to be really specific. It needs to be specific to what you're about to do. If you're about to do a squat session, don't go doing mobility on other parts of the body that aren't related to the squat, and vice versa. And then finally, the last component to every warm-up, a staple, is positioning, body positioning, drilling. So really activating the muscles and the areas of the body that need to be fired up. And so we use core body positioning drills, hollow body positioning drills. We use hanging, which really upregulates the rotator cuff muscles and things like that. And this is where, again, it needs to be pretty specific to what you're about to do, And if you're going to play footy, then you'll do positioning that's good for that, and sort of skills drills that might, like you might kick some balls or handball some balls to each other, whatever. What would you guys do?
Yeah, well, I think you're spot on. Like, I think you guys are addressing, strength at length within the warm-up drill. You have strength and shortened ranges. You've got in terms of trunk, compression strength, rotation strength, addressing all that. And they're the same pillars we would go by addressing. So guys would come in doing hip mobility and in a running specific way.
Yep.
Adductor activation, glute activation in a run specific way.
Yep.
If there's handball stuff, you get really good at doing what you get good at doing. You handball more. Your technique prep. Change of direction comes in. Your technique prep as a warm-up drill. You don't go 100% because you're going to be doing it at training. So to build up to everything. So same philosophy we follow.
Yep.
We dial in that way, we build up the intensity, and the warm-up changes in a progressive way because, again, with a warm-up, everyone gets better at it.
Yep.
Everyone becomes accustomed to it. You progress it, and that also aligns in with your main program as well. So, same feels, I reckon.
Yeah. And I remember in my old footy days, like we played like low division soccer. And there was practically no warm-up. Like we used to go for a little bit of a jog. We might have done
two laps, isn't it?
Yeah,
2 laps.
That's right. Couple of up and backs, maybe a tiny bit of passing, And funnily enough, we had an alarming, like by the game 4 in the season, half of our team was sidelined with strained hammies. And I used to often see, and I used to try to say, guys, what are you doing? Don't stretch your hammies before the game. Oh, yeah, but my hammy's a bit tight. I'm like, don't do some dynamic work or some ballistic work or some Nordics or upregulate it, but don't sit there stretching your hammies. That's why you're going to go out and strain it, And I used to just laugh because there was just no structure. And it was one of my mates that was the coach, and no one really knew what they were doing. But what was it like? What's it like for you guys playing rugby?
With our rugby team, I play for the mighty Chatswood Stags. So big shout out.
Big shout out, Chatty Stags.
You can't get a lower division than Division 6 in subbies rugby. But our warm ups are pretty good. But one of the biggest beefs I have at rugby training is that everyone goes and plays touch for 30 minutes before we do our warm up and then get into training. And they go, it's pretty cold. It's like 6:30 at night. It's the middle of winter. And they just kind of like bop around, but then someone hits a gap, and everyone knows that they're meant to be taking it easy, but they hit this gap, and especially at the start of the season, hamstrings left, right, and centre. It's a really common injury, and people just aren't aware of what they need to do first. Yeah,
that's right. Do you guys do Nordics and Copenhagens?
Yes.
For your boys?
Yes. Yeah. We do it within. So the way we philosophize what's important, is it strength important or training important? So they train first and they'll do strength after. That's the priority. I know there's ways in sport where Copenhagen's Nordic exposures are done within training, on the back end of training, or the start of training.
Or off season.
Off-season. So our ones are very gym-based. But yes, we do, because we know it bulletproofs your hemis, it bulletproofs your adductors, especially in change direction sport, running sport, and reactive sport. So we definitely do that. That's our little go-to. But it's a conversation for another day. Are they the two best exercises for it? We don't know.
Look,
they're pretty good.
It's interesting, because after I had my knee reconstruction from a really bad soccer injury, I had an impact trauma that dislocated the knee and did a whole bunch of damage. Won't go into it. But I had a hamstring graft to repair the damage, which means that they actually harvest one of the hamstring tendons and turn that into a new ligament and drill it and feed it through the bones, and it's a pretty amazing operation. I've watched the operation perform, not on myself, just a video, and but what it does is it overnight by 30% reduces the strength of that hamstring. That hamstring body, you've got 3 tendons, and one of them's practically gone. That makes up about 30% of the muscle body, and you can feel it. There's a huge gap there, a huge hole. And one of the problems you have during your rehab is, as you start to introduce sprint work and even swimming and things like that, you just keep re-tearing the hamstrings. And it's phenomenal how much I tore my hammy on my path to strength again, and so I just can't, and that's just because I had weak hamstrings. I can't imagine what it's like to have weak hamstrings, because I've strengthened them since adolescence. I've done deadlifts and heavy Romanians and Nordics and things like that, so I've always had quite robust leg muscles, but some of the guys that I used to play football with, mate, they were made of cotton wool, seriously. And you just think, man, you got to get out and do some strength work. I can't even imagine running around on a footy field not having done a bit of strength work, not having a bit of swole behind
and all
you.
It does is bulletproofs you, gives you that insurance policy that you need.
Absolutely.
Which I think people just jump on what looks cool, what Instagram tries to sell you.
That's right.
You have to use what's actually been proven, not with just evidence, but clinical, us doing it, us getting the bang out of it too.
So I guess you could kind of say one of the best warm-ups that you can ever do for any sport is just to get a bit of strength going in the gym, build some mass,
get a base,
swole, build a base. Exactly. So the last, let's move on to what I want to get to, which is the final 2 reasons why you would ever change a warm-up, adapt a warm-up. You've got this blueprint. You've got those 3 components that we discussed before. You've got your blood flow work, which we do in the Unified Movement System. We do 60 seconds of a high, intense sprint, horizontal running, burpees, air squats, air jumps, whatever you want to do to get the heart rate right up, get the blood flowing, get the joints lubricated, get the nervous system switched on. It's like that on switch, the power switch that Nalesh spoke about before. Then from there, we do our mobility drills, which are specific to the workout that's about to come. Then we do our body positioning drills, which is to fire up the nervous system, get the core muscles going, get your rotator cuff going, get all the muscles that are really involved in the stability and integrity of every joint fired up and ready to rock. And then finally, we do a series of warm-up sets specific to the exercises we're doing, and that's your skill work, okay? That's drilling the skills. In footy, you do kicks or runs or whatever it is specific to the sport you're doing. In boxing, we start to throw some punches, and that's our warm-up. That's our blueprint, and that generally doesn't change unless you tick one of these two boxes. One is age. Age is a big factor in warming up. The older you get, the longer it takes for your body to actually warm up. So you and most people will relate to this. When you're in your 20s and you hit the gym, what was your warm up? Couple of air circles with your shoulders.
Out.
That was it, and bang, you'd be hitting a bench press at 100 kilos, and you can kind of get away with it.
What was the dumbbell? I used to get the dumbbell and do these ones.
Yeah, you just do those ones a little bit, Like, man, my warm up literally. My warm up in my 20s was the walk up the stairs to the weights room. That was it. I was like ready to rock, and you can kind of get away with that at that point because your body is just so damn resilient. You're turning over, the cellular turnover in your body is happening at such a rapid rate. The hormone levels are peaking. And if you hurt yourself, you kind of don't know about it half the time, and you just recover. As you get older, and I'm still a young buck at 41, but I say after the age of 30, the warm up becomes critical. It's an important part of the workout. After the age of 40, you got to really start getting creative with your warm up, because if you skip it or you shorten it, you hurt yourself so many times. I do it all the time. After the age of 50, the warm-up needs to start really lengthening it to suit. Like, you need to warm up until you feel warm. You can't rush it, and that sort of gets more and more important as we move forward. So that's the first variable. The second,
do you feel over 50?
What do you feel
Because
over?
I'm 30, and I swear to God, I get out of bed and I'm walking around and my knees are shot. Oh, man.
Ask Patrick. I think Patrick, you're over 50. How does it feel? I don't actually know if that's true. I'd like you can correct me if I'm wrong. Clayton's saying finally caught on live. And we've got Enzo Velez from Argentina. I don't know what you've said there, but it sounds cool. Anyway, maybe someone can type it into Google. We got a good little tribe on here watching live. Now, Patrick often saying 66 years old and warm up much longer than the 10 minutes. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Spot on. And right, you should, Patrick. Because it really becomes a matter of you warm up until you feel ready for the workout. At that point, if you rush it, man, it's detrimental. And so yes, your workouts need to take a little longer. Like, they're not going to be as efficient, but man, it's worth it, like, what are we here for? And I love, because Patrick at 66, he's got a rig, man. Like, I've seen, Patrick is part of our UMS online coaching group, and he posts videos all the time for critique and technique optimization, and he's got a rig. I'll be stoked if I'm looking like that at 66 years old. So well done, man. Absolutely. So the second reason that you would manipulate or change up a warm-up routine is very specific, and this is why I wanted Nalesh here, and also Will, because Will's actually doing some of this stuff, is if you've got an injury or you're working through overcoming an issue in your body, a compromise in your body. I've seen both Will, myself, and Rad all work as patients of Nalesh. He was out there showing me some drills that I'm going to be doing as part of my warm-ups now because of this rib thing. I've got a rib that's been busted in boxing many, many years ago that just moves around a bit too much. I think the cartilage has probably been cracked and damaged, and it's never really healed properly. And every once in a while when I lift heavy, it just seems to really flare up and aggravate and cause me a whole bunch of harm. And Nalesh has found some deficiencies in my training that where I can level up, and he's prescribed a couple of muscle activation drills to do prior to my workouts. And this is another area that you need to take into consideration if you're sporting an issue like myself right now, like Will. I've spotted Will out on the gym floor doing quad activation drills the other day. So why don't you explain what you're doing, what you're prescribing?
Yeah, I think it all starts at habit. Will was really bad at it 3 weeks ago, he's come through. No, but like, I think all these stuff where the physio space comes in is, I think, guys, you have a deficiency, an injury or pre-existing injury or a compromised joint, however you want to label it. I think a little bit of time needs to go into primer or activation or switching the switch on, waking things up, and it takes away that, my squats, I can't go deep, I'm getting some knee pain, and you turn around and you come into a consult and you go to the physio, tell them, and you're like, have you done your quad activation? Have you done this? Have you primed up? No. I think if you spend those times, it goes back to the philosophy you've highlighted. It's central nervous system, heart rate, get the joints going, strength at length. You're addressing all those things.
Yep.
And as physios, it's the same philosophy, same principles we follow as well. They're the things you want to be addressing.
Yep.
I think if you come see me, and just an example, like with Rad, Yani, I say Rad too much.
Yeah. Rad's a physio.
Sorry,
slut,
Rad.
and that's all right.
I'm ready.
You know, we've gone through a mobility drill.
Yep.
You saw that.
Yep.
We've gone through a activation and a movement drill, which we put in 2 in 1. You saw that, and it goes back to the philosophy we do here at Unity, and we do obviously at ADPT, mobility, activation, function.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's how your warm up should be set up within the rehab space too.
Yep.
So Will, as an example, has got some knee pain. He has trouble squatting.
Mhm.
What are you doing for your warm up?
Yeah, I mean, I've had years of either tendinopathy or patellofemoral pain, and whatever it is, we're fixing it. But at the moment, I'm just doing a VMO activation and a glute activation, and that's all I need to do, and then the warm-up to be ready to actually move efficiently.
How long does that take you?
I spent a bit too long on the assault bike, but honestly, the whole thing would take 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Including the warm-up.
And we've already straight away ticked off 2 joints or 2 areas that he's needed. Again, specific
Yep.
to what he needs. Squat, knees, glutes, and just overall function, right?
Yeah.
Likewise for you, you're getting some rotational stuff with your rib.
Yep.
We're creating some stability. Again, I'm trying to highlight how functional and specific it needs to be.
Yep.
We're trying to create some rotational strength for you.
Yep.
So ultimately, habit, tick off the things you need, then
Yep.
get into your workout.
Yep.
And I think the best way to look at it is how you're setting it. Do you have the license to get into your lifts?
Yeah,
You
nice.
know,
I like that.
have you ticked your boxes?
Yep.
Because if not, it's great for a physio clinic. You just keep come see me.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you've got your license of, I've done these things and I'm ticking the boxes, I'm pain free. Look at deadlift. We've got Rich deadlifting 200 today, or what was it, 190?
2 million.
170. Sorry, man, 170. Sorry, bro.
Nalesh on
Don't
the
worry,
side.
I'm
but
about, I'm
it's
about
funny.
to go out and
It's
smash
funny.
that.
I watched him. He spent, I think, good 10, 15 doing thoracic drills, which he needs
Yep.
for a deadlift. He did some hip drills.
Yeah,
It's exactly what you need to be doing.
yeah, that's right. And so that's the 3 components that we really wanted to address today. We really wanted to make sure that you understand that the warm-up is not the workout. You don't overcook it because it does inhibit your ability to perform in your given sport, just like a professional athlete wouldn't cook themselves before doing a 100-meter sprint because they wouldn't be able to do their best effort, but they still need to warm up for it, And in the same token, don't underdo it, especially if you're getting on. Above the age of 30, the warm-up is absolutely critical. I know all the young bucks in their 20s would be sitting here going, you don't need to warm up. That's ridiculous, You just wait.
Yeah. I'm only 2 years out of my 20s, and I started PTing at 20. And man, I wish I knew what I knew now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, look, I remember when I hit 33, I just was like, why is my body just capitulating? It just feels like everything's just falling apart. Richie said it as well. He went through a period last year where he was in the hurt locker quite a lot with little things flaring up. And you really do have to change the way you train and start to really be conscientious about it. But then just remember that there is a blueprint to what you should be doing, and it starts with always blood flow, always do a little bit of cardio to kick it off, whether that's a light, a quick, short. I don't like to say a sprint, like a running sprint, because you are really asking of your body quite high demanding stuff there. So jump on a spin bike or something that's going to be less impact. We use the horizontal running or the ski ergs or the bikes, the attack bikes up the back. A rower's fine, something where you're not really going to be at risk of straining a hammy or pulling an adductor or something like that. 60 seconds is plenty. You want to get your heart rate up. You want to be out of breath. And then, you get into your mobility and very specific to what you're going to be doing. If you're doing bench press, you should be doing mobility drills for the upper body. If you're doing squats, you should be doing mobility drills for the lower body. It's not stretching. Mobility and stretching are 2 entirely different concepts. And then you want to be doing positioning and skills drills, specific to whatever you're about to play or do. We fire up the rotator cuff and the core musculature and then get very specific to the movements we're doing. If it's squats, then we're doing a 4, 3, 2, 1 warm-up sequence. If it's bench press, same thing. And if it's footy, you want to be drilling kicking a ball. You want to be drilling warming up your shoulders for tackles, whatever it is that you're doing. And the only 2 reasons why you ever go outside of that blueprint is age, you'll extend everything a bit to make sure that you feel prepared for the warm-up. You know, we like to say warm-up in 10 minutes or less is sufficient for most people. Until you're over the age of sort of 40 or 50, then you've got to start really lengthening it. Or the final point, which we're very lucky to have Nalesh on for to talk about, is if you're working on an injury or a compromise in the body. And then you might be doing specific stuff to your injury, your issue, your ailment, your compromise. And it's usually always some activation drills to address a weakness or a movement deficiency, and or additional mobility work, you know.
Just to add on to that, I don't want people to walk away going, okay, cool, I've got to do my 15-minute warm-up. Oh, wait, I'm joining compromise. I'm going to add another 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't turn into a 30-minute thing. We just got to be smart here and get for a bang for our buck.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think that's a big takeaway. I do have... There's been a lot of times going, yeah, man, I do everything. I spend 35 minutes doing it.
Yeah.
Then I've got to do the rehab exercises, and it's another 30 minutes, and then I'll do my work. So I think it's being tactical.
Yeah.
If you have a rehab day, do your rehab stuff. If you have a proper lift day, take your rehab stuff out of it and do what's needed for that day's focus or the day's goals.
That's a really important point, and you brushed on it over it before, which is about creating habits. And you know, exercise is all about habit. It's about ritual, and if you don't create rituals that are sustainable, then you're highly likely to quit them. And if you're needing to spend 35 minutes just to get yourself primed and then an extra 15 minutes on specific rehab stuff just to start your hour workout, so you're now in the gym for 2 hours, the likelihood of you continuing to do that for a long period of time is Buckley's. You know, it's not sustainable. So you got to figure out a way of keeping it all efficient, getting the most bang for your buck. And you know, I would strongly advise if you're thinking, oh man, I need a little bit of extra warm up. If you're doing the UMS or not doing the Unified Movement System, at-home workouts, whatever, get in touch with Nalesh, get in touch with Phil at ADPT Physio. What's the website? adptphysio.com?
ADPT.physio.
ADPT.physio. These guys can do an online consult with you to help you out. They can. There's all sorts of different ways. You can come in here to Unity Gym if you're in Australia or visiting, and have a hands-on session with them. Even in the lockdown, they're what is it called? An essential service. So they're still seeing and still treating patients, and it's highly valuable. And otherwise, if you're wondering, like, what does it look like? What does an ultra efficient ultimate workout warm-up look like? Jump on the at-home workouts. We have a really, really great routine that we do, even in the at-home workouts with zero equipment. The only thing we do differently to our UMS gym program is we don't use the gymnastics rings, and we don't use body weight hanging, because we assume that people don't have access to those things. So we take you through a really, really great body positioning, mobility drills. We do the blood flow work. So you'll see what these three components are, and you'll get a really good understanding of how it all comes together. It's a great opportunity. $29. It's worth that just for the workouts. Craig Jenkins has just jumped on it under Kate's name. You had us fooled there, brother. Welcome to the stream. Better late than never. But watch the replay. This was a cracker, I think. I think there's a lot of value in all of this for everybody, not just the old bucks who really, really need to warm up, but everybody, you know.
You started early, because if you get into your routine, it just flows on really well, and you set yourself up to win ultimately.
Mate, as Will pointed out, you know, I've been training intensely since I was a kid, essentially, and I bloody wish I bloody wish that I knew how to warm up properly back then, you know, because I really, really caused myself a lot of unnecessary trauma. That you know, you get all of that has an accumulative effect, just like overload on the body when you're working out accumulates and creates an adaptation. Injury accumulates and creates scar tissue and movement compromise. So yeah, good stuff, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Nalesh. Thank you, Will. Guys, we're going to be on in about 20 minutes. If you're part of the UMS online coaching, we're going to be going to the Facebook group live for your weekly group coaching call. Otherwise, remember, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel here, and you've got about 12 hours to grab the UMS at-home workouts phase 5 for $29. It's going to revert to the $97 regular price after that. we'll make sure that we throw a link in the description for you. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. We've got overload methods, intra and interset overload methods coming at you next week. You're going to love next week's podcast. Take care.
See you guys.
See you later.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, that's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.